We cover a lot of topics on the Metro: culture, government, climate, education, health. I could go on. Our mission here is to help you make sense of the news of the day, connect you to your neighbors, and give you a fresh perspective every day. But how do we know if we're succeeding? That's where you come in. Let us know how we're doing with the voicemail. Open the WDET mobile app, hit the open mic button, tell us your name and city, and tell us what you want to hear more of on the Metro.
Welcome back to the Metro on 101.9 WDET FM. I'm Tia Graham. Now, Detroit is a city bursting with art. In so many places, there are multicolored murals and graffiti that act as a vibrant love letter to the city of Detroit. The walls are affectionately etched on streets, alleys, and buildings. Art can expand the mind and the heart, but can it inspire environmental transformation? Can it be a catalyst to protect natural lands? Sidewalk Detroit is an organization that emphasizes reactivating the bond between Detroit, its art, and inspiring environmental justice. 2025's Artist-in-Residence Maya Davis is a pivotal part of Earth Futures, a Sidewalk Detroit public art initiative that hopes to leverage art to mitigate flooding and slow climate change. This year, Earth Futures is introducing a stormwater education campaign, including multiple hands-on learning opportunities about rainwater collection and remediation, access to clean water in urban environments, and so much more. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about the project, we have Maya Davis here, the artist in residence, and we also have Sidewalk Detroit Program Director Augusta Morrison to join us to talk a little bit more. Maya, Augusta, welcome to the Metro.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Of course. So, Augusta, welcome back, number one, to the show. We had you on last year to talk about your last project. You have an expansive resume, from being a renowned violinist to working on a multitude of contemporary art museums. So I do have to ask you, when did Sidewalk Detroit pique your interest and why?
Great question. I've been attending the festival for years, so I think just knowing that the festival was around and loving the very much like neighborhood on the streets. This is very like unconventional, non-traditional stages. We're in the alleys. We're in front of the storefronts. We are in empty lots. We're in gardens. It was just like taking over the neighborhood. And I just love that it was outside of kind of the institutional walls and in the community. And that was just like, this is what I love. I feel comfortable. It feels natural. So I think just knowing that, how it made me feel, and that it felt really accessible and really friendly, I was like, I could see myself working here. And when I saw a job opening in 2020, I was like, let's get on that.
Apply. And just speaking of institutions and the way that we all have been accustomed to consuming art, especially contemporary art, can you talk a little bit about how Sidewalk Detroit is trying to be this alternative to some of the things that we've seen so far?
Yeah, I feel like our approach to working with community and working with artists is very much embedded in listening to what are some of the needs. And we do this through relationship building. Depending where we are, with Sidewalk Festival, for example, we were in Old Redford for 7 years in the Artist Village. We had a great relationship with them. And then when we decided to branch out and go to different neighborhoods, it took almost a year of us just connecting with community partners and understanding who they are, what they need, and then identifying, well, what are places that the festival, for example, could really kind of uplift those communities and spaces, especially where arts were not really present, or there's just been a lot of kind of divestment and environmental racism. And we kind of address those issues through art and, you know, public art that addresses environmental justice issues. And Maya Davis is a great example, and working with Sidewalk Detroit this year on stormwater and stormwater education and thinking about kind of creative solutions around remediation and like rain catchment system. So I'm excited for Maya to share about what the installation is going to be this year. And last time I was on the program, we talked about Halima Cassell's archway in Eliza Howell Park, and that was all from trash from the Rouge River. We did a river cleanup, and it's a beautiful installation, and now it's still at the park. So each year we're kind of addressing different issues, microplastics, air quality. Now we're even talking about stormwater and microplastics. So it really is kind of depends on what these issues are in these different areas of Detroit.
Which is so, just such a Detroit thing in general, just thinking about the neighborhoods and the communities that are spread across the city of Detroit. They're also unique and different. I mean, you say I'm from from Cody area. That's totally different from being from some community on the east side. So I do want to bring Maya into the conversation, but really quickly, Augusta, while we have you, while you're out in the community, what's the one thing you hear from residents the most about the environment or flooding or just things like that?
I think some of the issues that folks are dealing with is just access to clean air. Clean air seems to be so present, and then flooding is a big issue. Everyone also just has like high expenses and needs a lot of like home repair. So I think those are, and then just access to green spaces and parks. They want the city to like take care of these spaces and, so that's one of the things that we're trying to do in Eliza Howell Park is take care of that space.
Yeah, and Maya, bringing you into the conversation, tell us a little bit about who you are, Maya.
Yeah, I have been an artist working in Detroit for going on 9 years now. I'm originally from Lansing, Michigan, but moved here for...
I'm a Spartan, so I got you.
Absolutely. I moved here to go to college at College for Creative Studies in 2017. And there I studied sculpture and art education, and I have been working kind of in this convergence of sculpture and bioart for a really long time, working with a lot of different like eco-materials that I was making myself, and I really found myself drawn to being with my practice from its conception, and that came into the form of textiles a lot. And I was working with like bio leathers, and then my practice that kind of took me through my thesis work to now is my work with the silkworm work that I've been doing for a long time, and like really brought me into like eco art on a larger scale, where I've been growing silkworms off of these Detroit mulberry trees. It's what they eat, and I am like tracking and like taking into consideration all of this history of a silk trade that tried to start within the Midwest. There's actually still a silk mill at Henry Ford's estate, and I've been my work has been like tracking these like colonial histories with ecological histories for a really long time. And I am really excited to be working with Sidewalk specifically on this project in terms of water. And I feel like there's actually a really beautiful through line or stream, even.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. To start talking about these like similar like colonial and post-colonial histories in tune with these ecological events, like specifically in working so closely with the Rouge River that runs through Eliza Howell Park, and how the changing landscape of Detroit and of Michigan and of Anishinaabe land in general has gone through so much, and like trying to take all of that into consideration as we're making work on that land and what we're doing now. And
before we do get to, why we all decided to do flood prevention, as well as stormwater treatment, the reason we're going to get to that in a moment. But I do want to talk to you just briefly about silkworm. That was such a cool thing to hear. You have silkworms right now that are living and thriving, and you're using the material there to create new things.
Yeah. I've been using the material that I get from I've been calling them like a Detroit genus of silkworm. Or like Detroit weird silk, into these kind of smaller portraits. And it's on a much smaller scale than the work I'm doing with Sidewalk, but it's been like a very like intimate practice to my heart.
Yeah, and just briefly, where'd you get the silkworms from?
So I actually would order them from these insect feeder websites originally, and then I've been breeding them for the past few years.
Nice. That I mean, that is one of the coolest things that I think I've heard in a while. So we definitely want to talk to you in the future more about your work with silkworms. But Augusta, bringing you into the conversation, why the focus on flooding, flood prevention, and stormwater and collecting rainwater? Like, why this focus this year?
Yes. We've been working in Eliza Howell Park since 2016, so we are park stewards there, and there are bioswales in Eliza Howell Park. And bioswales are essentially like catching rainwater and stormwater and kind of putting them into the groundwater. And so there's a whole kind of system of how stormwater works. And there's a lot of, around stormwater, there's a lot of questions about what is stormwater. Yeah. So we are kind of working on this residency and somewhat of this kind of like educational campaign and just kind of understanding stormwater basics 101. So I guess we're kind of doing this, we're doing this project to educate people and kind of get them involved so they can know what to do about stormwater when it is flooding in their neighborhood. And Eliza Howell Park, Brightmoor, is in a flood zone. Much of Detroit suffers from flooding. I mean, we probably all experienced some extent of wetness in our basement. So we are working with the Dow Sustainability Fellows at U of M to help us bring more capacity to the research, to the engagement, and like interviewing folks that are experts in stormwater, people from Friends of the Rouge who have a stormwater specialist program, which is amazing, Sierra Club, Huron River Watershed. I mean, there's so many people doing this. U of M is doing an extensive nature-based solution engagement project right now just to kind of understand what are some of the issues upstream, downstream. So this, in some ways, it's kind of an educational campaign, and it's so cool to kind of intersect this environmental justice, stormwater, art, and do this kind of public art project. So I'm just like, I feel very like grateful that I can do this work, and it's challenging. I mean, like to make an artwork that is about stormwater, it's like you kind of look online and it's like there isn't really a lot of stuff like that. So it feels kind of cool to be in this innovative zone and work with Maya, and you know, it's hard. This isn't easy work, but we're meeting a lot of interesting people along the way.
I would think so. And Maya, just thinking about some of the work that you've been able to do and the work that you're going to do for the festival, can you talk a little bit about your rain activated sculpture? How does that mechanism even work? What led to you to create it?
So the piece that I'm creating for Sidewalk is entitled Water is Witness, and in me kind of coming up with this idea, I really wanted to make a sculpture that kind of held space for people to enjoy the park in a moment of rain, and also to see some of these really amazing innovations of both the nature that's already in the park and the human interventions that are there, like the bioswales, which I can let Gus speak a little bit more about, that are kind of surrounding the sculpture that I'm working on. And I was also really interested in the rainwater collection systems as I was doing my research for this project. And I am mimicking some of these kind of DIY stormwater collection systems that people keep at their house or at their garden in order to water plants, to wash hands, to provide water in a fairly in a city that's a bit difficult to find access to clean water at times. And so I'll be creating this large sculpture that will be holding water, but also acts as a canopy for people to kind of bear witness to kind of the weight that water holds within our lives. And yeah.
Can you just share a little bit more, Maya, about the materials that you're going to be using?
Yeah, totally. We're going to be working with metal to form this kind of basin. And then I am also trained as a stone carver. Thank you, CCS and Cheeto Johnson, for that. And so there will be some like marble seating elements within the inner workings of the sculpture as well for people to sit in. And they'll be kind of like... they're like soft and kind of like in the form of a person. So it's, or like in the imprint of a person in a way. So it's like calling you to kind of sit and spend time there and share your experiences or your woes with the water.
And bear witness to the water.
Yeah.
And bear witness to water. Before I let you both go, because we've been talking, and we could continue to talk for this whole entire hour, but before I let you both go, I do want to ask you, Augusta, a little bit more about the upcoming events, especially the festival.
Yes. Well, tonight we have a really exciting panel called Sculpting Sustainability, and we'll be talking with artists, activists, folks that are kind of working in this field around water and stormwater, and also with artists that are, working with kind of in the ecology world. So that's tonight at 6 to 8. If the rain is not gonna come, we'll be at Eliza Hall Park. If the rain comes, we'll be at Artist Village. So stay tuned on our socials for that. Upcoming, we are celebrating 10 years of Sidewalk Festival at Eliza Hall Park. This is taking place during Neighborhoods Weekend, August 1st and 2nd. So check out on our socials, sidewalkdetroit.com, sidewalkfestival.com. The artist lineups are going to come out in a couple weeks, so exciting.
Augusta Morrison is a program director with Sidewalk Detroit. Maya Davis is this year's artist in residence. I want to say thank you both so much for joining us on the Metro, talking a little bit more about your project. I want to give you the full name, please, Augusta. Full name of the project, please.
The Eco Artist in Residence at Eliza Hall Park.
Thank you so much, Augusta. You all have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, legacy pollution and environmental injustice cloud Detroit's waters. A new cleanup initiative could help change that. We'll be right back on the Metro. You all stay right there.